Of all the pieces we've seen from Akhenaton, this one seems to change the society in ways that we wouldn't expect amongst the Egyptians, although it is playing on some things that we saw earlier. What you're seeing is an image of domestic life, the pharaoh and his wife playing with their children. Now, in ancient Egypt, it would have been common practice to use a wet nurse. In other words, send the children away. They're going to be breastfed by someone who's, well, literally paid for it. And then they would come back for periods of time, but mostly they're raised by other people, especially the pharaoh's children. It was a show of status that you didn't have to worry about your own kids. 50 years ago, it would be the equivalent of sending your kids away to boarding school. And so this changes things. It's very similar to, or playing off of a trend that we already saw in Nabal's tomb, where he's being depicted with his wife and daughter. So this idea of increased focus on the nuclear family is going to be important at this time in history, and it's something we only get through art. What we're looking at is a sunken relief stele. So it's a stele because it's not mounted in a wall. It's meant as sort of a freestanding piece. And sunken relief we've talked about. Here is a good definition for it if you want to use it. And it's a very unusual portrait of the royal family, very naturalistic and unusually domestic. We also see the predominant bodies and wide hips that we see in depictions of Nefertiti and Akhenaton. Again, possibly playing off of those ideas. The children have it as well. Now, whether they really had it or whether this is idealization is a whole different ball of wax. What we do see, though, is something that Ancient Aliens often points to as Akhenaton being an alien, and these are all aliens. And of course, they're probably not. There are usually better explanations. If you're going to make an extraordinary claim, you have to have extraordinary evidence, which people generally don't in this case. The center of the piece is, of course, Aton, that solar disk with those rays coming off, blessings basically being placed upon the royal family. So it becomes a very powerful piece, speaking to domesticity, speaking to the role of family at this time in Egyptian history. Now, after Akhenaton's reign, the art goes back to many of the previous conventions, although there are some things that will carry over from the Amarna period, because it lasts for 15 years or so, and so it's going to have a role. You have a whole generation who only know this. So let's get back to the New Kingdom.